Hey, good evening and welcome to the Belfast Bapcast. We're living in a time where where the word man has been stripped, reshaped, and in many cases outright rejected. What was once understood instinctively, strength, responsibility, discipline, protection, has been blurred into confusion. Tonight isn't about nostalgia or chest beating, it's about clarity. What is a man? What has happened to masculinity? And more importantly, what do we do about it? I am joined by Johnny Cirucci, a man who has spent years examining the deeper structures shaping culture, power, and identity. This conversation isn't surface level, it's about dismantling what we have been told and rebuilding something real. This is not going to be comfortable for some people, but that's what conversation is all about, and it's a necessary conversation to have. So, Johnny, welcome back to the Belfast Bapcast.
Well, I tell my audience that I'm very careful with words like hero and love and friend because they're overused, they're misused. One of my definitions of friend, you have collaborations all the time where you connect with somebody and you're warm towards them and you have enjoy the collaboration, but truly, honestly, it's just a collaboration. You're not friends, you just are warm towards them. To me, part of the definition of a friend is someone that you share personal things with offline. That's exactly what I have done with Mark Young, and I am honored to call Mark a friend, and very thrilled when Mark was inviting me for a topic of this nature that I do regularly talk on masculinity and personal responsibility, but never focus an entire show on it. And I'm really actually quite thrilled to do that because it really is so valuable. And I'll start it off. I'll just keep to flapping my gums and start it off. For instance, masculinity is under attack. I call it, okay, big picture for anybody that's not familiar with me. 25 years in the military, and had a horrible time, miserable time. I sucked at the military, and was the good Lord used it. I became a born again Christian on January 16th, 1994, and it radically altered my life. And so it has pleased him to use a miserable military career to build into a investigative journalist career offline that pays nothing. I have been blessed. It was a terrible financial hardship to swap roles with my wife. And so, believe me, I can talk about masculinity because she is now the breadwinner and I stay at home and I clean up the cat poop and the dishes. So I think I'm uniquely qualified to talk about masculinity. And there's a quick rundown on my background and my biases and my worldview. And what it is my purview via my worldview that the machine that controls is a cowardly machine. It's a perverse machine. It's a from a Christian perspective, it's a satanic machine. There are dark, malignant, interdimensional powers that are at work behind the scenes. They control all money, all power, all governments, and that's why they all lean to the left. And the hard left agenda is what I call the Baphomet agenda. Men are women and women are men. What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? I'll give you an example. Um, on my treadmill fare last night, finishing up a Netflix. Oh my goodness, Netflix is the with a premier streaming service, and it is just a fantastic, not fantastic in a good way, but archetypal representation of these agendas we're talking about. It is an inviolable trope that modern entertainment will never leave now, pushing the myth and the lie that a woman is better at a man's job than a man is. Whereas from the Christian worldview, men and women are different. Are you ready? Sitting down? Men and women are different. I know
Um,
that's crazy. I know that's insane.
so
Men,
let's strip it right back to the bare bones. So, in your opinion, what is the difference between a man and a male?
um, so the difference between man and what?
So, obviously, we're all born males, but what makes the man?
Oh, nuance. I'm glad I asked you. I'm glad I asked you. Your Irish brogue kind of interfered. A man and a male. Okay. See, I speak American. Okay. You speak Irishman. A man and a male. A man is irregardless is not a word. That's why I have fun using it. A man is just superficial, surface. You're born with certain kind of plumbing. You're a man. No, you're a male. That's what I mean. You're born with certain kind of plumbing. You're a male. What makes you a man? Now, first of all, you have to figure out who is writing the definition, giving the definition from my born again Christian worldview. It is not manly to let cats rule your life. So I guess I'm not a man. No, from the Christian worldview. Oh my goodness. And this fits right into what you want to talk about. From a Christian worldview, being a man, being a biblical man, is one who accepts the responsibility, which is a burden. It's not a joy. It's not fun. It's a burden. It comes from the curse of sin. By the sweat of your brow shall you eat bread. You have a responsibility towards everything that is gifted to you to properly steward it in representation of the God of love. God is love, as is expressed by the gospel message that he would give his son to be propitiation for all human sin, to die a horrible death on a cross and save mankind. By the way, there's no distinction in the spiritual. Paul says, man, woman, Jew, Gentile, no distinction. Okay. What does it mean to be a man? It means to embrace responsibility. It means to somehow, by the grace of God, learn that love is not an emotion. Love is not an emotion. Love is a conscious decision to sacrifice. Love is a conscious decision. That's why we have 50, 60% divorce, because the machine tells you love is a feeling. Love is a feeling. No, it's not. No, it's a true love. One of the most, forgive me for being Johnny and my focus on Rome. One of the most Jesuitical movies, one of the most satanic evil movies of all time, Princess Bride. One of the most satanic evil movies. Inigo Montoya, no connection to Inigo Loyola, founder of the Jesuits. One of them says, why? Johnny, you're crazy. It's a fun kids movie. It's a great movie. It's one of the most satanic movies of all time, because it perpetuates the trope, the lie, the myth of true love. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Do you realize that millennia ago, marriages were arranged, and most of them were successful? They were arranged because you made a decision to sacrifice. You realized that men and women are different, that men have needs that they can't supply themselves. Women have needs they can't supply themselves. And oh, by the way, let's get crazy here. They can't even supply those needs within their own gender, though they may try.
Yeah.
They need a harmonious partnership between the 50 genders. I mean, two genders.
But
they need a harmonious. Go ahead.
There is nuance as well. So with that lie that we have been perpetuated by Hollywood, there is a truth to it as well, because without that initial spark, that initial feeling, you would never make that commitment. However, after that commitment has been made, after some time has passed, it is work, it is sacrifice, it is many things that is not a feeling. It is work, like everything. And I believe that, a phrase I've been using a lot recently is carry what you can, and may that be your own responsibility should be a given, and that is your immediate family and your sphere of influence. But if you can pick up a bit of weight for someone else as well without collapsing yourself, that's what a man is here to do. We're here to steward people. We're here to steward our families and here to steward our communities and be an example.
What keeps a couple together if they're not? You're absolutely right. There is an initial spark that attracts you, that brings And it's not always necessarily a physical spark. Some of the best relationships out there begin with a friendship, and even better now that we're living the digital age where you connect with someone you've never met, and yet you're harmonizing with them on your values, on the way you think, on things that you share online, emails, and whatnot, and you connect. Interestingly enough, that's how I connected originally with my wife. Then you have shared life experiences. And here's the tricky part. If you are blessed to overcome these challenges, and I have to, again, step back out, forgive me, non-Christians, I will tell you, honestly, it is my opinion that a happy monogamous relationship is virtually impossible. A happy, fulfilled monogamous relationship is virtually impossible unless you have outside interdimensional help. And even then, it's still a lot of work. It's still a lot of work. I will tell you just my own personal opinion. Through what Christians might call sin and the sin nature, it is impossible to be overtly satisfied with a single partner. I would say normally men want to have as many sexual conquests as they can. And in today's day and age, where women are highly sexualized, they're probably saying the same thing. So there is an intrinsic challenge to monogamy that on the surface seems bloody impossible. But here is some of what, you don't even have to be Christian to be with me on this. If you are blessed to overcome challenges, trials together, that's something that is deep down that will keep you together, even though you may not be gorgeous, she's not gorgeous, and there's not some sort of sin that magnetically draws you apart. You look back in your life. Now, I'll give you an example from Hollywood. There's how many times has this been in a movie of the loss of the child that destroys the marriage? They blame each other. That's almost what I'm talking about. I'm talking about some sort of, how about like a bankruptcy, which is pretty much what my wife and I went through to swap roles. That is a incredible. And so when I'm constantly getting the stress, the banksters and the bill collectors, and I turn my wife, and instead of her attacking me and saying, how come you're not making enough money? She turns to me and is like, fuck them. We don't have to pay that. We don't have to ignore. We ignore that. They're not going to come after us. That one we're going to have to pay. That's a partner. That's a partner. That's someone that is on your side. That's the ideal. That's someone that is on your side when the world is against you. This is what will keep together that shared life challenge. Will keep you together when, in the meanwhile, these kids on their phone have no idea what it means to have a life challenge, have no idea what it means to connect with someone, have no idea. And I love to use this example in relation to pets. You have an exhausting day. You lay back down. You realize you walked past an empty water bowl. You're exhausted. Fuck, they're not going to drink water in the middle of the night. You're fine. No, fuck. And deep down, you say, I can't. I got to get up and fill that water bowl. I have to. It's my responsibility. If the water bowl is not filled, they don't have water. That's what responsibility is.
Yeah.
That's what responsibility is. That's what love is. Love is responsibility. It is a conscious decision to sacrifice.
So you mentioned the younger generation there, just to segue into sort of the media side of masculinity. So strength has sort of been versus restraint, responsibility versus dominance. You know, media has portrayed men now for quite some time like buffoons. You know, they have sold us a fake ideal of masculinity through the likes of Andrew Tate or, you know, other such gobshites like that, who tell us that it is about conquests, it is about having money, and it is about pretty much everything that goes against the the Christian values of what a man is. The inversion. So,
Amen. Go ahead, keep going if you still got it. Keep going.
sorry, I was just getting a drink.
That's okay.
So, something I feel very strongly about, because I never personally was captured in that sphere or that manosphere nonsense, but I've seen so many men affected by it who think it is impressive to, bet how many, whatever, and I think it's pathetic, to be perfectly honest. And I would like your thoughts on it.
Oh man, I love you. This is such a great conversation. This is such a great conversation. Your words, restraint versus dominance. It is the epitome of cowardice. Bullying is the direct opposite of manhood. Bullying is the direct opposite of manhood. Meekness has been defined as power under restraint. Test yourself. If you are a man and you are spending time regularly pushing yourself to the limits, if you're a child, if you're a boy, you quit right away. I'm tired. I'm hungry. It's raining. I don't want to do this. I'm out. If you're a man, you're constantly testing your limits.
Enjoy it.
To the point where you enjoy it, to the point where you enjoy trying to kill yourself. And that gives you peace inside, that you know what you are and are not capable of. That allows you to let so much more go if you need to. I don't know. This is essential Christian living. When Jesus says, if a man just slaps you on your right cheek, the nuance of this is just amazing. What he's saying is, if you're insulted, not if you're beat up, not if you're robbed, not if your life is in danger, if you're insulted with a backhand slap on the face, turn around, give him the other side. Insults. You can handle insults because deep down, you know, I got this. If this ever became a life-threatening event, I do this, I take this. It's easy to do what he said because it's not about ego. It's about meekness, power under restraint. It's about proper stewardship. It's about proper stewardship. Meanwhile, I dismiss things when I need to, but if it's obvious that someone else needs my help, if I have to intervene in a situation to protect someone else, I'm on it. I'm all over it.
You did
me? Go ahead.
You did that for me. You intervened with, will not name the name of the guest, but I was going to interview somebody very early into becoming a Christian, and you advised me against it, and it was the correct move.
I just felt that it was a time where you may have been exploited in your vulnerability. And from my purview, I felt that there were interdimensional agencies that wanted to attack you at that moment. Let me tell you something. As every day goes by for you, you are stronger and stronger and closer and closer to being able to weather the manipulations and assaults that you would have gotten had you done that interview. And I promise you, they're gone now. They're no longer interested because you're getting stronger. And listen to me, Mark, there are interdimensional agencies at play that know exactly how to exploit your weakness. Exactly how to exploit your weakness. And that is one of my blessings. I'm not, trust me, I'm not untouchable. But I do knee jerk to being manipulated. I do knee jerk automatically. Gorgeous girl. If the mere fact that a girl walks up to me and does that exaggerating swaying, I'm already aggravated. Stop. Now, conversely, if they appear to be humble and yet right, there's ways to get at me, but manipulating, obvious manipulation. If more men were more aware, I have this saying. I used to say that women emote and men think, and it wasn't entirely fair. What I now say is that women emote and men think with their groins. And I put in a little bit more of a brutal terminology. But our goal in either of the 50 genders, our goal is to rise above that, And that's what's best about the two genders, is that a woman shows a man where he sometimes lacks compassion and empathy. Critical. Let me tell you something. A lack of compassion and a lack of empathy is the secret to the evil world system. Is they encourage you to be inhuman. They encourage you to quench the divine spark, which is love, compassion, and empathy, which are the specialties of women. And it is a man's job. And the reason why we have this pendulum swinging throughout history is because that civilization began with acknowledging that men and women are different, and that it is easier for males to exploit power, to dominate females, and they did to a very evil and negative extent, to the point now where the machine brilliantly takes the pendulum and slams it to the other direction and says, you're evil, you're nasty, you've been beating down women all these years, now you're going to be subservient to women. No, that's not the solution. The solution is I learn the Christian model of leadership and the Christian model of how to execute power. The Christian model is what Jesus said: the leaders of the heathen lord their power over their subjects. That's not the way it's going to be with you. You are going to take your cloak off, wrap it around your waist like a servant, and wash the nasty feet of this lowly Samaritan. Samaritans were hated because they were intermingled and intermarried because of the Assyrian conquest, and there's a whole backstory to that. But the Christian ideal, the Jesus ideal, the requirement of how to handle power is, oddly, I'm thinking of a special forces similar role where you get above the military requirement of being a robot. You would do exactly what you're told, doesn't matter. Well, my commanding officer is a piece of crap. He's lazy. When I was a junior officer, I saw soldiers carrying a cross. We were making a building change, a building transfer, and the sergeant major of the battalion had a bunch of Joes, had a bunch of soldiers moving his "I love me" wall. Of course, he's sergeant major. He had like pictures and medals and then blah 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 blah. He had a bunch of Joes moving his shit, and I said, that's unseemly. Move your own shit. Pardon my language. Move your own shit. What do you got a bunch of Joes? It's not their job. They're not your servants, but that's what's encouraged. Versus now, and I'm not a lover of special forces. What I've found is they're very corrupt, unfortunately, but there's an ideal of the quiet professional where you get to a point where you eat crap, you go through the training, you go through the assessment, and you make it. And then there's a leveling where you all treat each other the same because you got a job to do. Call each other by their first name, regardless of the rank. You got a job to do. And that's how you handle authority. Well, dude, here's the job. And unfortunately, my neck's the one hanging. It's going to be stretched if we don't complete the job. But that doesn't mean I tell you what you have to do. The difference between moving all this crap yourself. Hey, soldier, go move all these boxes. As opposed to walk up to the soldier with the boxes in your hand. Hey, Joe, can you give me a hand with this stuff? Because it is a friggin' lot.
But how do
This
we
is,
get
go ahead.
people to the point of getting past their comfort addiction and understanding what discipline is? You know, people talk endlessly about, oh, I want to go to the gym, but I don't have the motivation, or I don't have the motivation to read the Bible. Uh, Whatever happened to discipline in men?
Well, the problem there is they don't understand the paradigm of delayed gratification, the paradigm of sacrifice now gives you an almost imperceptible reward later. Sex now with the wrong person, eating and drinking a bunch of crap now versus the delayed gratification of eating. And here's how the Lord adds this. I swear the Lord loads it against you. Whereas if it feels good, if it tastes good, it's bad for you. Things with fat and grease and blood, and they may have a much versus raw veg. Oh my goodness. No, what would you rather have? A big juicy steak or some carrots and celery? Oh yeah. What is going to be better for you? What is going to go? What is immediately going to go and add to your issues, add to cholesterol, add to your fat, add to your poor circulation problems, weigh you down. Okay, delayed gratification, and how crazy is this? Okay, so you realize that you can't crush this, can't get rid of it. You can't live like a Catholic priest and never have sex again. Okay, time and a place for everything. Okay, because you build up these desires and these wants to the point where they overwhelm you, and then you binge. So the role of discipline of what a man does is he says time and a place. I decide when. I decide I have budgeted this time where I'm going to allow myself to have some pizza and beer Friday night out with my buddies. All through the week, I'm going to eat and drink disciplined so that by the time I get to the end of the week, I have this time. The Christian says, I have an allotment of this outlet for my sexual desires. It's with a wife. And I'm going to make sure, because that's the rules. Here's the catch. And it's again, forgive me for being cynical, even from a Christian perspective. Here's what you can experience as a human being. Here's what you're going to experience as a human being. Here's what you're allowed to experience. Okay. You walk through that. You walk through that from the Christian perspective. And there's variation there. You follow your conscience. As a Christian, you follow your conscience in what the Holy Spirit is telling you. But certainly, I will explain to you that I will tell you that there are metaphors in play that the good Lord will beat down. The good Lord, he has decided that the metaphor of marriage in relation to you and he is inviolate. It's a big no-no. Cheating on your spouse, is a metaphor for you leaving him. And to him, that's a big no-no. And you're like, but Lord, you gave me this body, these desires. And honestly, how is this really going to hurt? How is it going to change things? I can do this. I can be satisfied. It's actually going to help me. I'm going to be more satisfied, less demanding of my wife. And the Lord's like, no, these are the rules. The rules have a much deeper spiritual meaning, and you'll follow the rules, or I'm going to let you know that I'm not happy. So ultimately, let me go back real quick. I wrote a note to myself to Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate delivered to us as the archetype of the man's man. I have inside information that he's homosexual. Okay. I have inside information that he's homosexual, which makes perfect sense as to why he actually hates women, why he traffics women in Romania, why he has tortured women in Romania. He is the absolute inverse of what it means to be men. How often has Hollywood, my goodness, dude, we could do a whole show. I've got a huge list of Hollywood icons of manhood that are also homosexual or abusive behind the scenes, that it tickles Hollywood, the machine that runs Hollywood, to take the inverse and throw that up to you as the ideal. Just like I'm saying about Princess Bride, true love. No, are you kidding me? It's true decision to sacrifice. It's true pain, but never in a malignant way. If you're at a point where you're actually fighting your spouse, you've got problems to work out. But if you're at a point where you're working through issues, especially in relation to, I just don't feel it anymore. I'm just not attracted anymore. Now, listen, there's also a very, very valuable critical role about honesty. If your spouse is being undisciplined and putting on weight, then you work with them on that. Then you have that. I personally experienced this through a parent. I had a parent that was a serial adulterer and addicted to sex and lust, never wore his wedding band, and would go out and screw anything that moved, then come home and take it out on me. And I didn't realize the paradigm at the time, and I do now, many years later, and it's enraging, and it's caused me to have a lot of deep-seated issues. At the bare minimum, if you're having a problem, here's what it means to be a man. Here's what it means to be a man. You have a problem with your spouse and you have lost interest in being physically pleased by them, or you're not able to be physically pleased by them. You have a duty and a responsibility to have an open, honest conversation. You don't suddenly take things into your own hands and start doing things behind the scenes that's what a coward does. A man has responsibility to come up and speak openly of these issues, and share them and put some effort. It's easy to, as we say in the military, cut sling on the load. It's easy to cut sling. It takes a man to say, I'm not feeling this. I don't want to do this, but guess what? There's something powerful about putting effort into it. And I will tell you that the marriages that you go through these trials and you succeed in overcoming them are that much stronger. Yeah. They're that much stronger.
So with the word responsibility, I think men are very much responsible for the destruction of men. So men not being present in the house, men that are present in the house but not actually present, whether that be through alcoholism, through drug addiction, or just through general spiritual fuckery. I just think men have a lot to answer for and a lot of work to do to get back to a place where we're able to steward our communities and do it properly.
Amen. Let me say that recently I've done a series of interviews with a guy that Greg Wyatt, the father of 2 autistic children. And Greg is absolutely convinced that the autism was caused by the series of vaccinations they've had to receive, courtesy of the government and big pharma. That's a separate issue. That's I agree with him, and he's lived it. He told me something quite disturbing, that in the groups of families surviving, trying to get by with the intense challenge of autistic children, those groups are dominated by women. Those groups are dominated by the moms. And he was asking at the time, and I agree with him, and I ask it now, where are the men? Where are the men? Where are the men? Here, I'll give you another Hollywood example. So you've got this movie, actually a pretty good couple of movies, the Russo brothers with Hemsworth, Extraction, and the how do they put it? The friction of the hero's journey of Hemsworth in the Extraction is his son had leukemia or cancer. It's a whole story. We could do a whole show just on that. Children with cancer. Get out of here. You're kidding me. And he abandoned his wife and his son because his son was dying and he didn't have the courage to stand by his son as he was sick and dying, and as the Rockefeller death cult was killing him with chemotherapy. That's a whole separate issue. But it's just an example, flushes out very well, very, very, very intuitive of what it means to be a man. What it means to be a man is pain. Battlefield issue. Okay, so you've got a buddy with a battlefield wound, and blood makes you blood. Seeing somebody else's blood puts you, and that's me. And that's me. Seeing somebody else's blood put you into shock, makes it difficult for you to decide. Guess what? Your sense of responsibility. If you don't stop that wound from leaking, he's going to bleed out. She's going to bleed out. Okay, we're not talking about female soldiers, a whole separate issue. Okay, again, men and women are different. You have to force yourself to do things that are difficult or painful, because if you abandon your responsibility, here are the negative aspects of it. People die, people get hurt.
It's your duty. And a smaller example of that, on Saturday, me and my wife took the dogs to the beach, and we recently adopted another American Bulldogs. We have two American Bulldogs and a French Bulldog. The two American Bulldogs are about 50 kilos each, so they're big dogs. But they're actually from the same litter. We just happened to see it coming up on a rehoming page, and we took it in. It's just they're all very settled together now, but they've kicked off a few times, and on Saturday was one of those times, and they fell out over a rock, and they properly tried to kill each other. They had each other's muzzles locked inside each other's jaws, and they weren't letting go. And like, obviously that situation's a frightening situation, but you want your dogs to live. So immediately I jumped on top of them, and I had my hands in their mouths, and then I was pulling them apart by the harness, and then they were still locked on, and then I had to jump on top of their mouths with my knee to separate them, and then they were, I was trying to hold two, but you do it because it is your duty to protect those around you and those that you're responsible for. It's obviously I was shitting myself. I had no desire to be wrestling with two American Bulldogs, but it was my duty in that moment to do that. That is
great metaphor. I have lived that myself. I have two rescues, and I've kind of made it worse because of my knee-jerk counter-reacting to licensed vets that I call the Rockefeller death cult, saying, get him snipped, hurry up, get him snipped. Well, there are things that are important to the dog in the dog's development that you don't neuter them right away. They have developmental needs. But I'm blind. I didn't know. Okay, well, what point they unless they have a sexual outlet, that's going to be an issue too. They're going to build up, and so unwittingly, I created a similar frictional environment between oh, good grief, they're both mixes. One is kind of a shepherd healer mix, and another is he's got pit bull in him. He's got so they're decent sized dogs, and I can't point them out to you. They're in the other room, and they would regularly go after each other, and I have had to do the exact same thing. I have had to literally throw my body in between them to make sure. And so one of them did have an injury that required some stitching, but by the grace of God, it wasn't super severe, and I've been able to intervene. And that is exactly right. And so part of the other issue, they both rescues, and the pit bull was almost certainly raised by a bunch of Hispanic migrants, open borders migrants, for the sake of dogfighting, which is just beyond satanic. It's just beyond satanic. And so he's got that genetic pull to be aggressive. And so unfortunately, I have the aggressive pull, forgive my language, of being an asshole. And so I will constantly test him and push him out of love. The basis of the relationship is he knows me and trusts me in love first. I don't exert my authority first. I have built a relationship with him of familiarity and love first, so that when he acts weird and I put my face right on his snout to say, I dare you, he calms down. I would never do something crazy like that if I had no relationship with the dog. I have a relationship of love and sacrifice with him. He knows me. I've established with him first. He can trust me, that I care about him, that I'm going to take care of his interests before my own. And then when he gets a little squirrely, and he is never, God love him, none of my animals, all of their bad behaviors is amongst each other. So it works. It absolutely works. I was thinking about this the other day as I'm watching the Lion Whisperer and people that work with wild animals and so forth.
Caesar.
They have, say again?
Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer.
Yes. They have an intuitive working knowledge of animal behaviors where they are able to establish the relationship first with the respect of how the animal should react. As long as there's no abuse in the animal's past, as long as there are variables that you can contend for the most part, their behavior is predictable, and you respect them in their domain, and then you push them when you have the right and the ability to push them in a loving way of responsibility, of curtailment, of getting them to behave in a certain way because they need to, because of your greatest good and their greatest good. And they normally respond to that because you respect them, but you also build the relationship of love and trust first. And honestly, that goes for everything. That goes for being a military leader. That goes for being a husband. That goes for being a parent. You establish the relationship of love and trust first.
Consistent.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying consistency.
Yes. So the bank analogy. You don't walk into a bank and rob it. Actually, you should. You don't walk into a bank and immediately make a withdrawal. No, you walk into the bank and you first have to make numerous deposits before you can make a withdrawal. You don't walk into a relationship and immediately demand of the relationship. You walk into the relationship and establish love and trust first. And then you may be able to make a withdrawal if you're intelligent about it. There are certain, if you haven't invested enough, you may be asking a withdrawal that is too much because you have your head up your ass and you're not being intelligent about what relationship you have, that where you tell your subordinate, how can I, you tell your subordinate, yeah, okay, how about this? You tell your subordinate, hey, guess what? Nobody else. I need you to stay in the motor pool all weekend long because there's top secret items in this vehicle. Hey, sir, don't you have anybody else that can do this? It's my kid's birthday this weekend. Now, listen, man, I unfortunately, you're on the list and you're the only one. And if you don't have a relationship with that individual, that soldier, how about this instead? Hey, specialist, I need some help. I'm staying all weekend in the motor pool because of top secret items that have to be overseen in this vehicle that we're not going to be able to get rid of until Monday. I need some help. Are you able to stay and give me a hand? We're certainly within your purview to just order it done. And the specialist says, because you have a relationship, you know what, sir, you're all right. I appreciate you going above and beyond. I will sacrifice and I'll do this watch with you. It's all in what it means to be a man, to be a leader, to be an authority figure, and to not, as Jesus said, lord it over, demand sacrifice from someone when they don't even trust that you have their best interest. Oh my goodness. And now I'm thinking of the Vietnam War. The rules of engagement in Vietnam. Hey, we're gonna draft you. You don't even have a choice. You will become part of the military. I'll put you in jail. And then we're going to send you to fight in a war where the rules of engagement say, let the enemy put holes in you and you're not allowed to respond until we give you these parameters. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? An entire war for 10 plus years that your own side, your own chain of command gave you rules of engagement that guaranteed you'd be slaughtered. Guaranteed you lose. Are you out of your mind? And they did it. And they did it. And people were slaughtered by the millions. For what purpose? For what purpose? Oh, we're going to stop communism. Well, did they want the communism? What exactly? What do you mean? What is communism? What are you defining? Did you invite communism in as the Potsdam Conference did between a bunch of Freemasons and divided up Korea? They set the stage, and now there's war, and now you got to go fight a war when your own chain of command set it up and made it happen in the first place? Are you kidding me? Okay, this is what it means to be a coward, to be an elite aloof versus a real leader. And as you see the consistency, if you're a real Christian leader, you dig down. You don't pass, pardon my language again, the shit sandwich down the road. When your chain of command tells you, I need your subordinates to do this dirty job, I need your men. You're running a line company. You have a tank company. I need you to stick around and clean all the crap, clean all the literal garbage out of this area this weekend because we got a big poobah. The president's coming by and he's going to do a review. Why is this my job? And why do I have to turn around and tell my subordinates to do this? Well, you're a low man on the totem pole. You get the newest part of the unit. So you're screwed. Well, hang on, sir. Don't we have a unit that specializes in this? No. Cleaning up crap? No, we don't. But you see what I'm saying is you put yourself at risk. Here's another great example. How many military whistleblowers are retired? All of them. All of them. A bunch of cowards. What a bunch of cowards. You get your pension first, and then you go on do the news rounds and say how much. And again, forget my language. I just feel like, just to be real, then you say what's fucked up about that. You coward piece of crap. Coward piece of crap. You got your retirement first when you knew.
When it costs you nothing,
and it costs you nothing. It costs you nothing to be a whistleblower, as opposed to being active duty. And it costs you everything. And you have a responsibility to your subordinates. You have a responsibility to your oath. You have a responsibility to the Constitution to say, hey, hang on. You're out of your mind for this. And I don't know. The mandatory shots during the pandemic for the military, right? Mandatory shots at all, really.
Yeah.
How many ruined careers? Okay. By design. If you're not going to be a robot, you're done. Get out. Okay. What it means to be a man. It means to shoulder what? Oh my goodness, there it is. What it means to be a hero. What it means to be a hero is to perform a sacrifice when you have nothing to gain from it. There's a good definition. What does it mean to be a hero? Is to sacrifice when you have nothing to gain from it. Nothing. To sacrifice when no one's watching. And you know that you have to get up and go do this dirty, nasty job. And no one's going to thank you. No one's watching. No one's going to give you a little piece of ribbon. No one's going to give you a little piece of metal. You just know that if you let this pass, an innocent will suffer. You have ducked out of your responsibility. Go ahead.
So a lot of people that watch the Belfast Bapcast are not Christian. They would be secular. I'm Christian myself and do come from a Christian standpoint. And that's why when I got sober a couple of months into it, I believed that I had to, my life had to reflect that not just in word only. I believe that my so-called newfound faith had to be married with visible works as well. And within that, I found great pleasure in starting to serve my local community. So through the shop, we serve the homeless for free every day. And we have like a community system where vulnerable elderly can order for free, and then other customers are happy to pay a little bit more. Some pay less, but everybody eats. And it's been a fantastic impact where it's kind of cross cultural boundaries in this town, to be honest, where we have people from the opposite side donating to the thing. We offer free school meals in the morning for any kid going to school hungry, things like that, and it's all community funded. And when you break things down to the brass tacks, like hungry kids or people that are going hungry or elderly that are lonely, most people can agree on these things, that these needs need to be met. And it's, I believe, men's role specifically to stand up and meet these needs in the community, because we can do these things and not attach ourselves to the outcomes and not be overwhelmed by the emotions of it as well. Although sometimes I do very much carry out what I more than I carry in with me to town, but uh, men are more equipped to deal with that without collapsing.
I will tell you that your worldview is everything. Your worldview is everything. And from the Christian perspective, let's just take, for example, my role as an independent investigative journalist. Everyone, everyone, everyone has a bias. There's no such thing as an objective scientist. No such thing. Everyone has a bias. Everyone has a prejudice, and everyone is out for themselves. Everyone is no such thing as true altruism. Oh, the billionaires had a secret meeting in 2005 and they just wanted to figure out how best to be Santa Claus, Satan Claus for you. They just wanted to, Freemasons work in the dark so that they can give away things. Shriners wanted to just give away things. Come on. You're not that stupid, are you? The Christian worldview is the heart. Jesus said, Jeremiah 17, the heart is evil. The average person is evil. If you can get away with it, you will. If you have enough money to buy your own reality, you will. You will. As I said regularly on my show, billionaires are the enemies of mankind, simply because it's their nature, simply because they can, simply because they can. What it means to be a Christian, what it means to be a Christian investigative journalist is that your bias is this. My example of love and leadership is Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ required that I not allow my ego to get in the way, that I lead by example, and I lead with humility and compassion and empathy, and that I sacrifice until it hurts and then sacrifice some more. That part of my daily walk as a Christian is honest self-examination. And oh, by the way, the vast majority of Christians don't do this. Okay. The vast majority of Christians are hypocrites and liars, at least in this regard, of real, honest self-examination, daily, hourly, if necessary, of not lying to yourself, not bullshitting yourself, not telling yourself, okay, I really want to look at this porn. I really want to flirt with this girl. I really want to, and then you lie to yourself and spin it so that you can, as opposed to, this is really wrong. I mention this very regularly. If you happen to be homosexual and yet you feel pulled towards Christianity and you say to yourself, I could never be gay and Christian. Well, that's only half correct. All you need to do is want to try. All you need to do is want to try. And with the honesty of Jesus, here's your rule book. Here's your rule book. Your rule book says repeatedly, I can't be in a relationship. I can't have a physical relationship, an emotional relationship with the same gender. And there's no way I can break free from this. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to come to you. I'm going to be honest and open. I'm going to say, I love you. I love what you stand for. I love your example. I want to be yours. But I don't know how to be fulfilled outside of this. You show me. I will try. You show me. All you need to do is one, be honest, and two, try. There's nobody that's without sin. There's nobody that's without sin. One, be honest, two, try. Back to the original example. Why do I think that I am uniquely qualified to be an independent investigative journalist? Because I have learned in relation to that, honest self-examination until it hurts. Until it hurts. I look and I say, I'm not supposed to be doing this. It's wrong. I did it anyway. I felt pulled to do it. I'm sincerely sorry. I'm going to need your help in the future. I feel it's going to pull me again. And this is why I don't think I can shake it. I love you. I acknowledge this is wrong. I'm not lying. I'm not making excuses. Oh, come on. It's just flirtation. It's just a swimsuit issue. Whatever. I'm not lying to myself. Okay. What makes me uniquely qualified is truth first. Because for me, John 14:6, Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the truth. So as I go dig for truth, no matter how much it hurts, even if it rocks my boat, and this is why there's so many in alternative media that are frauds, that they're just afraid. This is why there's a huge community of football hooligans that prefer to go to the game rather than to admit that they're slaves, rather than admit that they're in a system that's poisoning, robbing, and killing them, because that rocks their world. They'd have to make changes. From the Christian perspective, that's just truth is truth. What am I going to do? Run away? So I mentioned this. I give this metaphor all the time. You're on a suicide train. You poke your head out on in the car, and the bridge is out. What do? Is it uncomfortable to jump from a moving train? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. What's easier? It's easier to just open up the paper, stay on the suicide train, and wait for the train to run off the cliff. Okay, but it's stupid. It's a lot harder to jump off a moving train. That's what manhood, that's what responsibility, that's what Christian responsibility forces you to do. You'd like to ignore the truth. You'd like to run from the truth, but your responsibility compels you. It's the truth. What are you going to do? Lie to yourself? And then the train runs off the cliff. You idiot. You idiot. Your responsibility is to not just yourself to jump off the train, but as you're running towards the back of the effing train, you're telling everybody left and right. They may not obey you. They may not take the warning, but you have a responsibility. Ezekiel 33, the watchman on the wall. You have a responsibility to share the truth, as opposed to when you don't have a Christian worldview. Ooh, I've got insider knowledge. I've got secret knowledge. I can use this. I can get rid of a train full of competition. I just saved my own ass and run out the back of the train. No, as from a Christian worldview, you are responsible. You let the Lord decide whether or not you're going to benefit from tragedy. You don't seek tragedy so you can benefit from it. You actually throw in the old metaphor, the trope, whatever you want to call it, of what is a sheepdog? What is a hero? We hear gunfire and we run towards the gunfire because we want to make sure that innocents aren't being hurt, as opposed to what you explained. Okay, I've got my two animals that are my responsibility, that if I don't throw myself in between them, they're going to hurt themselves permanently, and one of them is going to not survive, maybe both of them. I have to throw myself in the midst of this because it is my responsibility, because if I don't do it, nobody else will. So that's what it means. Go ahead.
Being as economical as possible. And in regards to faith, I mean, I believe in Christ. You believe in Christ. We're born again. A lot of people out there are not. Is it possible to reconstruct a positive masculine society without the center being Christ?
Here's the catch. A powerful belief in a living relationship with Jesus Christ brings with it healthy fear. Healthy fear. Once you are his and you truly believe that he is all-powerful God and sees everything, not in the satanic watcher stupid sense. He is love. He is a God of love, but he's also a God of justice. And he's a loving parent. And he's not going to be happy if you knowingly do the wrong thing, as opposed to a worldview that is nihilistic, that is, you are the greatest authority in your life. There's no reason, Mark. Why would a non-Christian force himself through pain, through sacrifice, when there's no reward in it to do the right thing. I submit to you that a sincere Christian worldview is the best platform for masculinity, for manhood, for leadership, for true responsibility to do the right thing, even when there's no reward, especially when there's no reward, because there is an all seeing, all loving, all powerful God that's watching, that loves you. You know, there's an alternative definition of the second commandment, that it's not a matter of blaspheming his name. The word is to carry his name. The word is to represent him in a way that does not properly represent him. And that is an excellent definition of blasphemy, is for everybody to know that you're a Christian and then you turn around and abuse your wife and abuse your pet, abuse your kids, commit adultery, shirk your responsibility, that when your friends, your coworkers are looking to you to help them with a sacrifice and it sucks and it hurts and you walk away from it because it's easy and you're a Christian, everybody knows you're a Christian.
But we
You
have
blaspheme.
these guys, you know, we have these guys who have the idea of masculinity that has been sold to them by Andrew Tate, etc. If you look through like just the history of the martyrs, for example, and the sacrifice that they done, like that is beyond any level of masculinity that a Bugatti Veyron or 30 Hoes or a night in Dubai is ever going to represent. That is proper masculinity, is sacrifice for a belief, sacrifice for something greater than thyself. And obviously you get a reward at the end of it, is the belief. But if Christ is living within you, that's certainly not the thought process when you're acting. You know, you're just wired to act at that point.
Well, he's the essence. He's the essence of altruism. He is, from my perspective, he is the essence of altruism. Like I just said in the example, you've got no reason to do the right thing unless you have something to gain by it. Honestly, who if you don't have a Christian worldview, why would you ever commit a single selfless act? Because deep down, the only thing the only explanation I can give you is that you have a part of, from my Christian worldview, he is in you whether you want him to be or not. And you are pulled towards altruism. You are pulled towards sacrifice. You're pulled towards responsibility. But if you don't have a worldview where you are held accountable, where you have a relationship with a living, loving God that sees everything, then eventually you're going to plateau. Eventually you're going to plateau. You may be able to be a good guy. You may be able to do nice things, altruistic things, sacrificial things. But unless you have a worldview where it keeps you awake, that there is an all-loving God that sees everything and is going to hold you to a full account, you've got no reason. Eventually, you're going to plateau. And that, from my perspective, is what sets, again, sincere Christians. I'm not talking about rank and file Christians. I'm not talking about religionists. The vast majority of Christians are religionists. They go, they check the box, they go for an hour on Sunday morning, they take Jesus out of his cubbyhole, they let the pastor preach to them, they check the box, and they go home back to their lives. No. True Christianity is a life choice. It's a relationship. That's why John the Apostle uses marriage as a metaphor for the relationship between the believer and Christ. It is a lifelong decision to sacrifice. It is a lifelong decision to sacrifice in the same way a marriage is. You make a conscious decision to do the right thing because you love him. You know he's watching. You are afraid of letting him down. You're afraid of how he's going to react when he catches you doing the wrong thing. But most of all, you love him. You get that feedback. You get that delayed gratification feedback of sacrifice now, and and it's imperceptible. You feel better later. The whole thing we were talking about earlier about discipline and diet, and we'll add physical exercise. And I think it's definitely diet is supersedes exercise, but exercise is a very important part of it. Of you beat yourself down, you eat right, you exercise, you eat right. There's no immediate gratification, but across days, across weeks, across months, you look better, you feel better, you sleep better. It's delayed gratification. That's what it means to be a man.
So,
That's what it means to be a man.
an unpopular ending, but I'm going to ask anyway. If you were to, I'll give you a minute to think about this one as well. If you were to give one piece of scripture that would speak to men, what would that be?
Oh, you got me on a good one there. Let's see here. Give me a second. What is a great piece of scripture that speaks to a male becoming a man? Can I really cop out? Can I really cop out and say John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, because Jesus foreknew his trial. Jesus foreknew that he would be tortured to death. He knew that he'd be tortured to death. And when someone that he loved and loved him, Peter, said, Lord, I don't want to lose you. Don't do this. And he slammed Peter and said, get behind me, Satan. Don't try to talk me out of this, dude. Don't try to talk me out of this. It's my responsibility. You don't appreciate this right now. You don't appreciate this right now. I have to do this. I have to endure this trial, this pain for you and for a lot of other people. That's what it means to be a man. So I'll conflate it. I'll conflate John 3:16 into the Garden of Gethsemane. And I can tell you passage, Garden, Gethsemane in Bible. Luke 22, Matthew 26, the scene in the garden where, well, and that's not even where Peter said, Lord, don't do this. But I'll say this is kind of a weird way. What's the best way to be? Verse. It's a weird thing to say, but it speaks Matthew 16, verse 23, where Peter is compelled out of love to try and protect Jesus from his destiny. And Jesus, feeling that as a temptation, kind of slams Peter and calls him Satan, because he realized that this would be a manipulation. It's not obviously Satan. It's someone that loves him, trying to talk him out of his responsibility. And he says, no, I got to do this, man. I got to do this. I got to do this for you. So how about that? Matthew 16:23. Get behind me, Satan. Wow, that's not what it means to be a man. No, you got to look at the whole story.
I think that's a perfect ending. And where would be the best place for everyone to get in touch with Johnny Cirucci and watch your content and buy
you bet,
etc.?
JohnnyCirucci.com, JohnnyCirucci.com. Johnny at JohnnyCirucci.com is my email. So Mark, my beloved friend, has asked me, we never do this. I'm going to cherish this. The majority of my content gets into the biggest, most obnoxious conspiracy theories you could possibly get into. And that's what you'll find. But I do regularly get into topics of spiritual and emotional import, relationships and whatnot. It's just not as hardcore, not as focused as we were today. So I right now I've got 5 books that I have written that are still available on Amazon, aka CI Amazon, aka Leviathan, what I call it. And they're available because nobody's heard of me. Illuminati en masse, Secret History, Eaters of Children, Romans of Mass Destruction, and Disciples of Ra. All focused on, now from my Christian perspective, I have seen all roads still lead to Rome. So for anyone who is Catholic, please have an open mind, investigate me. If you have issues, if you find that there's that things that I have said have resonated with you, but you're offended at things I've said about the Catholic Church, drop me a line. Let me talk to you about it first. Happy to do it. So right now I've kind of not distanced myself, but I've taken a break from book writing, and I go primarily I'm doing shows, and I haven't been on YouTube in a while. I'm going to try to get back on YouTube, but right now my shows of Resistance Rising is the show. And if you look it up, the algorithms will make sure you never see me. So Johnny Cirucci, Resistance Rising, Giovanni, Johnny is a nickname, Johnny Cirucci, Resistance Rising, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Brighteon, and Twitter. I do the lives on Twitter. And those are the ways you can get. JohnnyCirucci.com is my website. And my email address is johnny@johnnycirucci.com. I will get back to you. And those are the best ways to get in touch with me currently.
Well, once again, Johnny, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on. And if you could like, share, and subscribe. And this has been Mark and Johnny. Thank you very much.